The 9th gen Toyota Camry is here, and it's a lot like the 8th generation. This is the 2025 Toyota Camry SE all-wheel drive, one of the core models in the new all-hybrid Camry lineup. While still sharing a lot of the same basic structure as the previous generation Camry, this new generation brings with it a lot of very important steps for the line. With all trims now available with all-wheel drive, and of course that standard hybridization across the range, the Camry brings some really impressive efficiency and actually an even more pleasant drive than before. The Camry can be a tricky model for people to understand. Everyone's been in one, everyone seems to know someone who's got one, and of course, everyone has been in a Toyota Camry taxi. At the same time, a lot of people might actually be a little pressed to identify which Camry is which. So, how do you identify this new one? Well, wheelbase is the same. That means the cabin space is also basically the same. The doors, the windshield, all of that is carried over from before. This new 25 model has a longer nose, just over an inch longer in fact, and a slightly longer tail. Packaged within all of that is a surprisingly robust 2.5-liter engine. There isn't a ton of torque here, 163 pound-feet, but you're looking at 225, or if you get the all-wheel drive, 232 horsepower. Made it to a simple, efficient, automatic, continuously variable transmission. It's not exactly lively, but it pulls the new Camry with a lot less labor than you might expect. Compared even to the new standard Toyota Prius, this thing just feels a little more ready to go. While most of what underpins this car is carried forward, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, they have actually stiffened up the anti-roll on these higher trim models. That means that when you're going around a corner, it doesn't feel so topsy-turvy, roly-poly. Instead, it holds a little squatter. The springs are still soft and cushy, but you get a steadier, more confident ride around. Contributing also to this generally planted sense is the update to Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, which is Toyota's name for its advanced driver assistance suite. From standard, all of these cars now get adaptive cruise control. They get a lane keeping and lane follow assist, which works excellently. Particularly welcome is Toyota's passive driver assistance, which detects slowing vehicles ahead of you and just gently eases you back to maintain safe and smooth spacing. It's never intrusive, it doesn't feel like it's taking over from you, it just helps you do it better. It's something you'll likely appreciate as a driver, and it's something you'll also likely appreciate when you see one of these in your rearview mirror. Get into the higher trims, and this actually carries even further with the traffic jam assistance and lane change assist. That means that on the highway, if traffic falls below a certain speed, the vehicle will let you do eyes up, hands off driving. It just takes a lot of the driver fatigue and labor out of the everyday drive, and it's something that we've been really positive on in our reviews of other vehicles with that equipped. Similarly, keeping everything with Toyota standard is the inclusion of Toyota's excellent new center infotainment suite. Depends on the trim. Base models just get the dinky little screen, which is honestly kind of sad to use, but it is a really nice interface to use when it's stretched out to use the full space here on this dash. This dash too has been redesigned, as has a lot of the cabin. And of particular note is the inclusion of Dynamica upholstery, depending on how you spec your car. This material has kind of become the hot new thing in automotive. We're seeing it now in Mercedes, VW, across the breadth. It's sort of the new Alcantara, and it's a really nice soft touch finish when you feel it here on the seating and the dash and side panels. With that being said, Toyota is famously gradual in how it updates things, and not everything feels super cutting edge. This digital dash does the job, but it honestly feels a half generation older than the center infotainment. What stands out though is the hybrid's fuel economy. In front drive only models, you're looking at a combined average estimated at as low as 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. With that being said, Toyota estimates that about 2/3 of Canadian Camrys are going to be the all-wheel drive. Looking at NRCan economy estimates for that model, we're looking at figures of 5.1 liters per 100 kilometers, city, highway combined. They're all the same figure, which is a big help for me while I'm on the spot right now. Also notable with the introduction of this 9th generation is how the all-wheel drive system is actually set up in the car. You see, traditionally there has been a mechanical link from the engine to the rear axle. That's gone now. Instead, they just have a 30 kilowatt electric motor back there. That motor can either be driving, recharging through regeneration, or just disconnect and spin idle as the gasoline engine pulls things from the front. And of that charging and regeneration, this here Camry actually breaks from some of Toyota's other hybrid implementations of battery tech. Whereas a lot of the others are actually using simple nickel metal hydrate batteries under the rear seat, this thing does use lithium ion. This means higher charge and discharge rates and greater energy density. Basically, that means more power out of a smaller or equivalent sized battery. With all of that content comes a cost though. There are 5 trims for the 25 Toyota Camry in Canada, and they range from $34,300 to $44,950. That is $45,000. That base MSRP, of course, is before you factor in tax, freight and fees, and all the rest. That means that you can be headed toward $50,000 now for a Toyota Camry. Yes, it's a nice Camry. It's very generously equipped. It's got all the modern goodies. But as we're seeing across the market now, affordability is not necessarily point number one in these modern vehicles. Still, as modern pricing goes, the $37,950 you'll pay for an all-wheel drive SE like this unit, which is estimated to make up about 60% of Canadian volume, is still a pretty respectable price point for what is a pleasant mid-size sedan. And given as well that so many other manufacturers have just abandoned this segment entirely, it is one that has a bit of a captive audience. All considered then, I gotta say this here Camry is actually a fair bit more enjoyable through these mountain roads than I would have expected, and a very nice cabin at that. With its surprising power as well, I think a lot of shoppers will find themselves rather pleased with this thing. For Driving.ca, I'm El Alder. For more car news, reviews, previews, specs, and all the rest, be sure to follow us online on Driving.ca and check out our socials over on Instagram and Facebook.